Alldus podcast is brought to you by Alldus International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our AI in Action series, where leading minds in AI from across the world share their story, success, and advice. AI in Action cuts through the hype and explores the true impact of artificial intelligence in our world today.
You're listening to AI in Action. I'm your host, JP Valentine. Our guest today is Jariullah Safi. Jerry is the Director of AI and Computer Vision for Simbe Robotics. Jerry, welcome to the show.
Hi, it's great to be here.
It's good to have you. So, Jerry, let's start with yourself, please, as we do with all of our guests. Could you give us a bit of an overview of your background in tech, from where you got started, some of the roles you've held along the way, and what's led you to where you are today as the Director of AI and Computer Vision for Simbe Robotics?
I possibly have a little bit of an unorthodox background. I migrated to the US in 2007, and at the time, I didn't quite have an aim. And where I migrated to, a university was nearby, and I decided to start in an engineering program there. So this was Idaho State University, and I started in nuclear and mechanical engineering. And for 4 years after that, all I could think about was like thermodynamics and fluid mechanics, and I wanted to really go work at a power plant and analyze the water flow in nuclear reactors. And my last year, I took a mechatronics course, and we had this project where we built one of those gadgets that draw on eggs, like Easter eggs, different patterns. So we built that, and I fell in love with that so much that I decided to completely drop my previous plans and went into a master's degree at Penn State in control theory and estimation theory. I did the master's in battery state of charge estimation, and then started a PhD in robotics, which was the same advisor. And the PhD wasn't quite doing it for me. I was aimless, bouncing off of stuff. And in that time, I decided to apply for a robotics job, an internship at Simbe Robotics. So this was in 2016. And I started there. It was really good. They made me an offer. I decided to drop my PhD. And I joined as a full-time robotics engineer. And then I started to look at the business and what they were doing and realized that computer vision was going to be very important for their growth. And I switched over from robotics to computer vision. And I had some background, but a lot of it in those early years was self-teaching and reading blog posts and tutorials to understand deep learning a little bit better and get a better handle on how both contemporary and classical computer vision is done.
Well, let me jump in just before you go any further, because I want to set the stage for what Simbe Robotics is as an organization. Yeah. So can you tell us who you are, what you do, mission of the business?
What Simbe does, we have a robot that goes into grocery stores, and now we're also in club stores, environments like that, and takes high resolution pictures of the shelving structures there. And what my team works on and what I head up is a data processing pipeline that takes those pictures and converts them into actionable things for the store employees. So that would be things like, are these products out on shelf, or is stock low here, or are these products not faced correctly? Is the price incorrect? Where are these products in the store? If I were to pick 10 products, what would be the most efficient route? That kind of stuff.
Interesting. Okay, so let's jump into your role then. What does that entail? What are your primary responsibilities? Walk us through the day-to-day of your function and how that connects with the broader team.
I head up everything to do with computer vision and machine learning at Simbe Robotics. Currently, I lead a team of 5 engineers that are basically doing everything with processing the images that are coming from the robot and developing all the deep learning models that we need to use in order to extract information from them. We handle our own data annotation through a company that we contract with, and all of the infrastructure for deploying this code and infrastructure for training the models and making sure that we don't have any model degradation. In addition to that, I also interface with the sales teams and the customers in many situations, as well as the web backend and robot teams, in order to make sure that we have a sort of well-structured, fully vertically integrated software stack.
Nice. I want to talk a little bit about the customer profile and types of use cases. Obviously, what you're describing it makes sense and it's exciting for its use case application of AI and computer vision. Can you share any recent customer examples where you guys have trialed this, how it's working, what are some of the results that your customers are seeing, and what's the feedback that you're getting for the product as it's being deployed?
I can talk about two of our customers that I think would illustrate what our product does and its versatility as well. So one of our customers is Schnucks Supermarket. They've actually been an early partner and a very constructive partner. And they are a standard grocery style environment. To them, the most important thing is knowing when things are out on shelf, for us to decode the barcodes for them, and giving them a map of the store so they can know where every product is at any given time. What they use that information for is making sure that the products are always well stocked, right? That one's an obvious one. And their store is always looking the best that it possibly can. With the barcodes that we scan for them, they're able to inspect and make sure that their tags are showing the correct information. They use electronic shelf labels, and they want to ensure that the tags are showing the correct price, the correct promotions, et cetera. And they're able to do that when we scan those barcodes and send them that information. And they also can know exactly where the products are in the store, which can drive picking of products from when you place an online order for pickup. That route gets optimized through that information. And also, customers have access to Schnucks' app. And if you're going into the store and you want to know where to find milk or where to find butter and stuff like that, you would have that information at your fingertips and you'd be able to know exactly where to go in the store, which is a pain point for a lot of people grocery shopping.
Thank you for that. And it'd be interesting to understand the impact of time saved, stock management, all of the knock-on effects of using this technology. If there's anything there that you could share with us, because I think that would really talk about what problem you're solving from a time management efficiency perspective.
Yeah, one of the items is tag accuracy really matters. And typically in most store environments, what we found is that 10% of the tags, up to 10% of the tags, sometimes even worse, depending on the store execution, tend to be incorrect. And with Tally in the mix, we've demonstrated within a few weeks that number decreases to under 2%. And so that can save a lot of money for the customer, especially in jurisdictions where if a tag is displaying incorrect information, then they either have to pay a fine or the customer can get the product for the markdown price or entirely free in some situations. So that's one of the items. Another one is recovering lost sales. So if you don't know where products are out on a shelf, and especially if you have that product in the back room and you can actually fill it and then some customer can buy it, that ends up in a lot of lost sales.
You are listening to the Alldus podcast. When you're looking to scale your team, or if you are interested in showcasing your company in a future episode, reach out today. Or if you're in the market for a new role, visit our website to view open positions, www.alldus.com.
Switching direction slightly, you mentioned that you're running a team of 5. Talk to us about the backgrounds of the individuals, because you're utilizing, obviously, computer vision is at front and center of the product, but there's also the data ingestion, analytics, and all the other parts that come into play for a good data product. Can you give us a little bit of insight into what the team looks like, backgrounds, and how it operates day to day?
Yeah, so actually, that's just my team. So the computer vision folks all have computer vision or robotics backgrounds. We have more engineers that are working on the data quality side. So we have a data team that's doing data analytics and ensuring that QA, making sure that everything is correct, making sure the pipeline is working as it's intended. We have one team that builds our web backend and all of the data interaction with the customer that happens through that web backend. And then, of course, we have one team that's responsible for the robot's autonomy. So those are separate departments. But we work very closely with them, as I mentioned before, because one of the goals of how we're building our product is to make sure that we own as much of the stack as possible, and then it is as integrated as it possibly can be. Because we've seen that a lot of our competitors sometimes struggle because they'll have a team that can do robotics really well, but then they'll have to license their computer vision capabilities, or they'll have to work with some contractors to build their data pipeline. And that's when things kind of start falling apart, where we've tried to make sure that everything that we do, as much as we can have entirely under our umbrella, that we do that.
Obviously, with the adoption of LLMs and computer vision now becoming mainstream, there's a bit of an arms race to apply it in all industries, and retail is certainly one that we're seeing an incredible amount of investment. Robotics is another. So you're combining two industries, getting huge interest in the AI capabilities. Can you talk to us about what the near-term roadmap looks like for Simbe, what you guys are trying to accomplish, what growth you expect to see, and if we get you back on the show in 2 years from now, where will the business be?
So going forward, right now, one of our biggest priorities is growth. We've had a number of customers and we've gone to scale with a few of them, and then we're working on some of the other ones to make sure that we can expand our operations to all of their stores. And that's what's currently most important to us. So I was mentioning before when you asked about customers and use case examples. So the other customer that I want to talk about is BJ's. And BJ's is different from Schnucks in that it's a club store environment. So you have different types of shelving infrastructure. The capture requirements are different. We have to capture pallets that are really far up, and the navigation challenges are also very different. So by having these two very different customers, we've proven out that we can work in a lot of different types of environments. And so our current goal right now is to sort of leverage this and all of our other customers that we have and the product that we built and try to expand it and generalize it as much as we possibly can to as many other customers as possible. So that's the current goal that everything is working towards in the organization. In terms of what that translates to in terms of technology, we are constantly working on improving our core product offerings. Out on shelf, like being able to tell that a product is not actually in stock is a lot more complex than it sounds, especially as you start going to special types of shelf fixtures. Like you have mops that are hanging in a shelf, and that's a lot harder to tell whether what that mop is supposed to be, what specific UPC it has, and if it's low on stock or not compared to cereal boxes. And so we're working on expanding our out-on-shelf capabilities. We're working on making our overall accuracy better. We're working on improving our ability to be able to figure out what the product is without needing a price tag. So that's typically referred to as product recognition. And there's a lot of recent advancements, things like embeddings and things related to generative AI, but not actually generative AI, that have created some possibilities for us to improve those algorithms even more. Another capability that we've had is the ability for our customers to be able to audit the stores without actually having to go inside the store so that they can see what things look like. And we're working on improving that capability as well and making better virtual tours that somebody can take off their stores. And that capability is pretty important. Another thing that we're doing for the future is increasing the amount of vertical integration that I was talking about even more by actually supplying the customers with a mobile app that we've created ourselves, as opposed to trying to integrate to the mobile apps that they're using already. So some of our customers have the tech savvy to integrate into whatever handhelds that they might be using in order to figure out what the next task for a store employee is supposed to be. But now what we're doing is trying to give them our own apps that are fully integrated with our product, that have all the great features that I talked about, where if they want to know where a product is, they can literally pull up a map of the store and tell them, go exactly here.
Jerry, we always try to finish these interviews on a message to our audience who are all data, AI, tech professionals, many of whom listening in to hear about where they can advance their career, and the space in which you're operating in, the convergence of robotics and computer vision is obviously very exciting, but a lot of competition for talent. As a leader in the business, as somebody who leads a team of these types of individuals, when you're sat with a candidate and you're talking to them about Simbe Robotics, what is it that you tell them about the company, the mission, the environment that gets them excited enough to join you guys over somebody other great companies trying to hire?
So for me, the best thing about working at Simbe Robotics is the fact that people working at every level can contribute meaningfully to the goals of the organization, that ideas can come from anywhere, and we encourage people to try to follow through with their ideas, and we empower them to be able to do those things. I believe very strongly in mentorship and in making sure that knowledge gaps and experience gaps between people can be filled easily. We give people time to work on their understanding of concepts that they might not know, or to go and do research and come back and say, hey, I looked into this wild technology that we heard about, and I don't think it's going to work. Or sometimes it's like, hey, I think we should try to pursue this and let's bring the whole team on board and go through it together, et cetera. There's not a lot of restrictions in who can do that and when you can do that. And I try to foster that environment as much as possible with my team and as well as across the organization whenever possible.
Jerry, thanks so much for coming on today and talking to us. Really great to learn about your background, an amazing insight into Simbe Robotics, and quite an exciting space, obviously a combination of robotics and computer vision, which is some of the best use cases for AI. So grateful for your time. Wish you and the team all the best and look forward to having you back on the show again in the near future.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Alldus podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.